up. A few minutes behind, just some technical difficulties, but I'm going to get this final piece done. If you've been on our Friday Lives before, you know that I have to do something with this. Hit a button in order for it to be working and going to my Facebook feed. So give me 2 seconds because every single time I do it, I forget how I did it last time. So if you're watching this live, I am just stalling right now. So just hang in there, hang tight. I'll be with you in just a second. And I am going into this post. Nope, not it. It is another button here. And we will find it. Go back, go back, go back. Go to my thing. Okay, see, it's not coming up. If you see me on Facebook, let me know. If you give me a thumbs up or a hello. What's up, Terry? Terry, tell me, are you on Facebook? Can you see me on Facebook? That would be amazing if you already see me, because maybe it's fixed. Nope, you're on YouTube. I just saw that. Ah, all right. I gotta make sure it comes through. So give me 1 sec, and I'll have this up and rolling. And that's how I know it's not working, is because I don't see it on my Facebook. Going to the live, going to the settings, edit the post. Here we go. Now I remember how to do it. Only okay. I don't know why it's like this, but every time. Okay, now we're going live. Okay, we can get started now. Thank you for holding tight. Thank you for being patient. Today is a wonderful, wonderful day. It's a Friday going into a long weekend, and we're going to talk about getting yourself and your business ready for to do deals and getting capital ready. So, what does that even mean? Well, we're going to talk about that today. So, if you're listening, if you're watching, and you think someone else should be watching or listening, share this with them, copy, paste it, tag them, whatever you want to do, so that they can jump in. We will be here for probably half an hour, maybe a little bit more, actually, depending on how crazy I get into this stuff. If you know, as Michelle told me earlier, she's like, we got to put a cap on you. You got to put a time limit on how much you talk. Good news is that you can hear more of this at our podcast or on our YouTube channel. So it's the REI Deal Finders podcast, REI Deal Finders YouTube channel. Go any one of those places if you miss some of this or if there's some other pieces that you feel like you're missing. We will also put this in the recordings of everything go in our learning center, and that's based on school, and you can find that at dealfindersclub.com/training. That's where that will be. Okay, so let me just make sure I'm all good. It feels like everything's looking good. Okay. If you have any comments, if you have any questions, feel free, put them in. I'm going to try to watch them. Hopefully, I can see them all. If not, I'll get to you afterwards because I'll catch up to them all. So, here's what we're going to talk about today. If you are thinking about getting into real estate, or you're already kind of doing real estate business right now, and you coming to the realization that you may not have enough capital to do what you need, right? All of your goals are here, but your bank account's here, right? Like those cartoons, and you open up the wallet and moths fly out. If you're feeling like that, you're in the right place. And the good news is you're not alone. The better news is that you can still do this business because there's other forms and other ways to get capital that you can use to build your real estate business. Okay, and so you can do it. You still do the business. I'm not here to talk about. I'm not doing the preaching of get rich quick or no money down or like doing this business with nothing. That's just not realistic. Not to say it hasn't been done or that it can't be done, but it's just not realistic for most people. And that's fortunate, right? We want to talk about ways that the majority, like most people, that you can get your business set up and going, in the ways that it's a little bit more efficient than if you're trying to do this with absolutely no money, absolutely no resources. You have to hustle your butt off. And when I started this, uh, when Michelle and I really decided we were going into real estate, we were going to make it a business and start flipping houses to buy rentals. We had two kids and one on the way, and a puppy dog, and things to do. And I couldn't work 80 hours a week on it, so I had to find ways to get capital so we could expand and build and invest in this business. So that's what we're going to talk about today: is getting yourself capital ready, and we'll talk about types of capital there are and how you can be prepared for that. Okay, so we should be there. We go. If you don't know how to find out more about where we are, you can go to dealfindersclub.com/links. This is the podcast. If you see this logo in your podcast stream, click on it, like it, share it, listen to it. And if you like what you listen to, be an amazing friend and leave us a quick review and share it with somebody. That would be fantastic. Okay. The meetup.com, facebook.com, or meta dot whatever. I guess it's still Facebook. But anyway, we have groups over there. If you're not in those, reach out, send me a message. We'll get you in, and you can find out all kinds of information about our events, whatever we got going on. Oh, try now, Terry. I think I got it working. All right. So let me. I'm bleeding in my screen over here. Okay. Thanks, Terry, for letting me know, though, bud. Appreciate you watching. And what to expect. So this is our Deal Finders motto here. We are here to help you connect, learn, and build businesses. Okay. And so if you are like I was back when I was moving from my W-2 job into real estate, I didn't know anybody in real estate. I didn't even know that things like this existed. I didn't know there were meetups. I didn't know there were people that would help you build a business or get connected. And so thankfully, when Michelle and I were flipping a house and with a partner at that time, flipping a house, and I had a question, and I went online and started Googling, and there was no Chat GPT back then, right? I started Googling, and somehow got connected to an online forum, and then realized that there was other local people, and then I was like, shot them a message, and anyway, we started having lunch, we started having pizza at lunch, we started having pizza and beer after lunch, and we created a local meetup. And this is what we did was so that we could connect with people, and then started teaching other people because of what we were taught. When Michelle and I got started, wanted to flip houses. I'll tell you more about that in a second, but wanted to flip houses so that we could buy rentals. We didn't know how to do that profitably and efficiently, so we had to learn. And then to build businesses, if you're ready to build, if you are ready to get going now and ready to flip a house in the next 30 days, that's what we do. We help people build that. And if that's you, if you're looking for that right now, reach out, just shoot me a message, shoot me a DM, and we can talk you through that and see what that looks like for you. All right. So this is just some of the pictures of our events, learning times. This is our online learning center. If you need that, let me know. And of course, these are some of the properties we've done with some of our deal partners and some of the building businesses that we've done. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on who we are, what we've done. So today is just Friday. It's an online class here. We are going to put this class and keep it in the learning center so you can come back to it. But the idea is just so you know, we've been doing this for a while, since 2007, and we've bought and sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of properties. Honestly, we might be thousands at this point. But that's not the point. It's not that doesn't matter to you, and that's why I won't spend a lot of time on what we do and who we are. But it's more about like how does that help you, right? If you're watching and listening to this, it's like, well, what does that matter to me? Well, the fact is that we've just done so many, we've seen so many variables, so many different issues come up, and so many different sellers and buyers and properties and all those variables, all those things that could go wrong and have gone wrong. we've seen them and we've gone through them and dealt with them. And that's what, having that learning opportunity and building businesses with people, that's what we're able to help with. And that's what we bring to that table is all that experience so that you don't have to learn through trial and error. Okay. And so this is us. I'm just going to move on through. I did come from Columbia. I am from Columbia. Did come from Columbia. I went through school system here, and one of the things that stuck with me, and this is kind of an important piece. One of the things that stuck with me when I was growing up, and Mom, if you're listening to this, I appreciate you giving me this nugget. Is that we were looking at houses. My dad and mom. This is probably illegal now. I don't know. You might get arrested, so don't do this. But every time there was a house getting built in the neighborhood or around the neighborhood, we would stop and go walk in the house. I remember walking in lots of um, houses that were under construction. It was like, what's this look like? What are we doing in here? Oh, walking around and totally not safe. I'm sure there was stairs, cavities, lots of falls and sharp objects, but it was the 80s. What are you gonna do? So, but we were walking in. I remember Mom, and we were in the car uh, going down. I'm pretty sure I know exactly where this was, but uh, going down the road and said something, or somebody said something about I want to do that. I want to be able to make money from that. Or they're making lots of money. And then, and I'm sure many of you have heard this before, is that it takes money to make money. That was the response, and whether it was mom or dad or whatever, but pretty sure it came from that front seat. And it still has stuck with me. And it's true to some extent. But the problem is I'll ask y'all, how many of you have heard that and it shuts down your momentum? It shuts down your dreaming. It shuts down the thought that you could actually do something. Right? Because, yeah, it might take money to make money. It doesn't, it doesn't have to be your money to make money, right? It doesn't have to be what you have in your back pocket. You can actually borrow money. You can actually negotiate deals that the money comes later, right? There's so much that you could do. Yes, may take money to make money, but it doesn't have to be your money. This is so important in today's lesson as we're talking about capital, because we would have never bought. Oh, you wouldn't buy anything that's over what's in your checking account if it wasn't for ways to figure out how to do this, right? So buying a car, you're using someone else's money. Buying your house, someone else's money. Buying your purchase and flip house, someone else's money, right? You see how that goes. Uh, Many of you, maybe you bought or gone to college. How many of you have gone to college? Was that your money? Yeah, it took money, and hopefully when you graduate, you can make more money. It didn't have to be your money. That whole old adage, it takes money to make money, it may be true, but it should not be used as a way to stop your dreaming and stop your planning and your goals and your moving towards real estate as an investment. Okay, so uh, remember that there is opportunity out there, and of course, I had that entrepreneur bug, and I love going through. Uh, this is going back to school. When I told you, yeah, went back to school, got my master's because I thought it would help me make more money. And guess I'm pretty sure I borrowed some. I don't know if we did student loans for my master's, but the first time around, we certainly did. Uh, so, the entrepreneur bug, I'll ask y'all, and I'm going to move through this really fast. Leave it in the comments. Let me know if you're in the comments. How many of you wanted to do one of these? And have thought about selling candy, car wash, creating a pressure washing business, opening up a franchise. Quiznos is one that I was really thinking I was going to do back when when I graduated hospitality school. Food trucks. I mean, man, the, the market, the farmers market is packed with them, right? Why do people get into food trucks? Why do you get into franchises? Because you know that you're made for something else, right? God has given you this bug, this energy, this desire to do more than what that 9 to 5 is paying you or not paying you. And so we look at other opportunities that could be businesses or they could be low capital costs so that you can jump in and start earning some extra income or building cash flow, building wealth, right? Vending machines is another one. It's that low entry cost that gets people hooked or going towards those ATM machines. I don't know if people do that anymore, but ice machines, all of this. I actually sold these. This is why I put that in there. But creating a moving business, right? These are things that are low cost to get started, and they're available to everybody. And here's the thing: if you're looking at these because they're so prevalent and it's available to everyone, the same thing it, applies to real estate. Is that it's also available to everyone, anybody, right? You can get into this business. However, it feels like it's not for many people. I was blessed enough to very early on to be so dumb that I didn't know that it was hard. I got in and things got hard, but we figured them out because we were already in. So I don't recommend that for you. I don't recommend that because you're right here. Thankfully, if you're listening to this, you don't have to do that, right? You're already past that wall of stupidity that I was in. You know that there's risks, you know that there's issues, or you know that it could be a challenge, things could go wrong, right? So don't rely on just plain dumbness to get you into a deal like I did, right? So all of these things are available to everyone. They are lower cost to get in, and they have a small return on investment coming through, right? But it is something extra. If you've been looking at these, then it's because you know that you need or were made for something extra. And I'm just done with that. And then here's that dumb deal I was telling you about. Thanks, Keith. Appreciate it, brother. Yeah, this dumb deal is the one that again, I got into it, didn't know what I didn't know. They gave me a loan 2007. You know, if I walked in because I was breathing, they gave me a loan, right? Didn't negotiate, didn't run numbers as a rental or a flip. It was just, I was straight out of college, and the benefit is I didn't have to live at home with my parents. And so I just went. Um, this house, it was known as a party house apparently. And, you know, some of my friends actually lived there and they partied there too much. But I didn't know all that, right? And I laugh at it because I was so blind, so dumb. I didn't know all that stuff. And I later find out after I owned it, right? That's some due diligence you should do beforehand. No repair did them. We ended up just so dumb. We took a wall down because we wanted more room for the ping pong table, right? We removed the bedroom when I lived there and to put a ping pong table in. That's dumb, right? But thankfully, when I left, I moved out not too long later, and we put the wall back up so I could get more rent. And I had a roommate there that helped me through all of this. He and I did the floors together, painted it. We did all this together, and he helped pay for it. So, you know, we made a lot of mistakes, but we didn't really. I just didn't know, and that turned into this house, which was across the street from that first house. And again, we weren't buying we weren't running numbers, we weren't paying attention, we weren't making good deals. We actually were able to use some private capital on this one, and it just we got to a place where we had bought a couple of houses. Michelle and I had four rentals, 4 or 5 rentals, and but we weren't making any real income from them. And because we didn't know how to buy them right and make it an investment. We were just doing it. And so what I tell people is trial by error, trial and error. And I guess that's that entrepreneur bug. And sometimes we get out in front of ourselves. So, but it was here where though Michelle looks like she's having fun. She ain't having fun. She's like 9 or 8 months pregnant, 7 months. I don't know. She's pretty pregnant. And but we're sitting here painting with oil-based paint, and the other kid is at home with grandma. And this is where we were saying, you know what, this is not good. Why are we doing this with these rental houses that aren't bringing any income? There's nothing coming good from it except for like, oh, in 30 years, we'll get retirement from it. Woo, yay. It's like, yes, we'll get something in 30 years from now of having to repaint stuff every 5 years, right? So at this point is when we decided that it was either sell these rentals, get out of this, or figure out how to do it right and do it for the future of our family now. So this is what we did. It was we made a decision. A realtor that was bringing us deals and working with us gave me that book, Hold, and I read it front to back. It was amazing. I still have it somewhere around here, and read that thing in so fast. And then I realized from that book that real estate is actually a business that you can make money from today. I say it and I sound dumb. I feel dumb. But it just never dawned on me then that it was something that we could have cash flow and build a business from today. And maybe some of you feel that way, that, yeah, this is something I want for my future. I want for my future. But this book brought it home and said, you know what? Yes, it could be for your future, but it can also be for today. And that's where we began talking about flipping houses to buy rentals so that the rental property cash flow could be our income to live on. And so that then we had the freedom because we could get out of the 9 to 5 job, had the freedom to then do more real estate or something else. And so that's where we went. We went down the road with this. This was the first flip on purpose to be take the profit to buy rentals. So this is the first one we said, all right, this is the business model. This is how we're going to run it. This is what we're going to do. And we sold that house, signed all the paperwork, and put the offer in on a 5 unit rental house the day that little Emery right here was born. So we were in the hospital, and yeah, I was sitting at one of the tables signing paperwork, and Emery's in the little bassinet. Right. So this is just a cool memory from 2016, November of 2016. That when that sold and we bought the first 5 unit, we went from 4 to 9 units. We became professionals at that point. We're like, oh yeah, baby, and that was the beginning. And so from 2016 to 2018, we went from the first four to 34 and found out how to flip houses profitably, how to wholesale, how to buy rentals, and we both went full time. Michelle and I went full time in real estate, and that's my buddy Emery. And people ask like, "Well, what happened to that guy?" He's wild. He's a wild kid. Y'all, let me know if you have any questions. If anything pops up, I'm getting right into the nitty gritty right now. So, why do you buy real estate? If you're listening to this, watching this, and you're serious about this, you want to you need capital for your real estate business, I don't have to tell you about all this. But I'll put it in here just a reminder. If you don't know why, this is why. Cash flow, appreciation, depreciation, deferred taxes. All right. Why is it a good investment? It's tangible, steady. Anybody can do it, and it meets a real need in the marketplace. Okay. So let me give you our quick quick disclaimer. Basically, here's the deal. I can't guarantee anything for you guys. I can't. I'm not making a claim that if you do this, then if you do exactly what I say today, then tomorrow you're gonna have the exact same results because you won't. Okay. Well, I'm different. You're different. Today's market is different. The your needs are different. Your goals are different, right? So, but it depends on you. If real estate is something you're interested in, you want to do this, or you're already doing it, you're stuck, or need help. It depends on you. How much work you're going to put in, how much information and data you're going to get, and how you interpret that, and then what you do with that. Okay. So it's all up to you to build this business. It's not get rich quick. It is 100% a business that you have to work at. Okay. Most people, unfortunately, most people even listen to this or in our community, in the Facebook group, wherever, most people won't do it. And I hope that's not you. I hope if you are listening that you will do it, that you will take the time to learn, get connected, and if you need help, you'll find someone to help you build that business. But ultimately, you'll take the actions that you need to do to grow. Okay. Here's our friend Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad author. After that whole book, I read that cover to cover, then I went straight to Rich Dad Poor Dad. So that was the beginning, and I think he was right after that, which most people, uh, I think, bigger pockets. They said like 80% of the people say that this was the book that shut them or got them going in a real estate career. Rich Dad Poor Dad. All right, so real quick, I want to just we got to put some numbers to this for you guys. If you're listening and you're watching, how much money do you need per month? And this is whether or not you want to make real estate your whole job. This is all your income, whatever. Put that down. or you're just looking for a little extra income, put that down, okay? And then we're going to times that by 12, and so that would be however many months times 12, and then divide by 25, and then that's how many flips you need per year, okay? Hopefully you see that. It's pretty simple math, not hard to do on this one. And then multiply that by 70%, which is zero point 0.7, right? So if you had, uh, wait, back up, that's not right. Times by 12 and divide by 25. That's how many flips. Take that back. Okay, so if you're gonna do however many flips you get, so let's just say it's 10 for easy math. You said, all right, I need 10 flips. Now now multiply that. So 10 times zero point 0.7. Oh, now I get it. I wrote this. So you take the average sales price of your market, times it by zero point 0.7, and then multiply that by the number of flips you need. I totally wrote that wrong. So here we're gonna do it. We need 10, and our market is 300K is the average. So 300 times times zero point 0.7. I have to do this math. Equals times 10 flips. So you would need 200 or $2,100,000 in capital for the year. Okay, that's just that's a ballpark number, but that's what you need to be thinking. Right? And now, when you come up with that number, y'all let me know in the chat or in the comments. Does that does that make you happy, excited, scared, worried that you'll never be able to do this business? Right? I just did that. I was like, oh my gosh, we need $2 million this year. Well, let me check my wallet. You know, it's not there. It's empty. Here comes the moths. Right. So when you actually break it down, and I do this exercise with people as they're just getting started. If you want to jump on a quick chat, go to dealfindersclub.com or just .com in the top right. There's a chat button, and we could do this exercise together. It's kind of fun, but where it's like, well, how in the world am I? It's like 2 million. You know, I thought this business was going to be hard before, and now you're telling me I need $2 million this year just to get started. Yeah, but let's talk about how we find that. Okay, let's talk about how we get those that capital. Okay, and again, it's not about the only bad time is to wait to do this business. Okay, so how do we get started? Now we know we need way more money than I ever thought, right? And you know this is why wholesaling became so popular because it's like, oh, zero down. That's another topic. So this is the presentation I gave 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever, in our live meetup. And we do meetups once a month, or just about, like in Columbia. If you're anywhere near, you can come, Columbia, South Carolina. It's totally free. Show up. It's awesome. We have a great time. And this was the lesson I gave that day. Uh, and so that's, yeah, private capital, private funding is a big piece of trying to find ways to fund your real estate transactions and deals. But that's not it. And so let's talk about how what we're going to talk about now is getting ready and how do you become fundable, you know, like bankable, and then talk to when you get that set up, then private funding becomes easier, bank funding becomes easier, and we'll talk all about that. But if you wanted this presentation or this class, you can shoot me a message, let me know. But it's in the training center. Okay, so we record those and put them in there. Um, each one of these tracks in real estate requires its own special education. Like you've got to know what you're doing and where you're going, right? If you're doing rental properties, it's different from wholesaling. If you want to be a lender, it's totally different from being an agent. Agents, you know, they got their own thing, right? They're nothing like trying to be a passive partner, right? There's nothing passive about being an agent. I can tell you that. All right. So each one of these needs its own education, and you know, getting your being capital ready is no different. Okay. So here's the one deal that I told you about. That was the first flip. They got us started, and I don't know if y'all feel this sometimes, where it's like you take 2 steps forward and then one step back, and sometimes 2 steps back. But we had challenges again. You know, I didn't really know how much these challenges would come, But we were able to get through this because we had made a plan. At this point, this is years after my first couple, we had no plan. We had a coach, we had a mentor to help us. We talked about how to actually flip profitably. We had an end goal in mind of what we were going to do, how we were going to do it. So that coach helped us with that. We had a partner on this. Uh, and then we did get a private lender, uh, but that didn't really work out. But if you go back to the learning, I'm not going to go back to that whole story. But it was fun, interesting, but we got it done, and we were able to use unique sources. But the big thing for today is that we got that done because we were bankable. I was able to go straight to USAA, which is a bank, if you don't know. It's where my insurance and bank stuff was at the time. I was able to go to them and ask for a loan. It was just a personal loan. It wasn't a mortgage. It wasn't for this house. It was just a personal loan based on our credit and bankability, if you will, right? And I'm pretty sure it was in our name, not in the business name. So that's what you got to be ready for. And when you are bankable, when you're a good credit risk, and people see this as you as being worthy of lending money to, then these obstacles they get out of the way a little bit easier. You're able to get through and get over them a little easier. Okay. Um, so there's some things that we're taught about money. At least I was growing up, and in our financial or in our education system about finances and stuff. And it's like, go get a job, spend all your time getting as much money as you can, work all the way till 65, put it aside, and then at 65, go enjoy, that 401k that you built up. Uh, or it's the other way around, where it's, hey, go spend all your time getting money, and then as soon as it hits your account, go spend it because you earned it, right? Go buy something fun. Uh, I don't know if y'all remember COVID days, COVID era when the free money was coming out, the stimulus checks. For some reason, all the jet skis and four wheelers and golf carts, all those went with boats. Boats were gone. You couldn't buy any of that because that money hit and everybody went and had fun with it, right? So there's two ways of looking at that. Um, it's hope, that's can be good. You can have a little piece of that here and there, but what none of these does for you is provides ways for you to enjoy the money and save for the future and build wealth for your family, for your legacy, and have the time freedom. Right? This is all about you spending all your time trying to earn that money, versus investors who think of it a little bit different. Because they get the money, but then they grow it. So that eventually they don't have to keep spending time to get it because the money will earn itself and start to multiply and work for them. All right, so I'm gonna just 1 sec. I don't think there was any comments, questions. Give me a like, give me a thumbs up if you're watching, and you could share it. That would be amazing. Love you if you do. If you don't, I still love you. All right, so we went through this in that last meetup, in that last lesson. So I'm not going to spend too much time on what capital is and the role of it in our business, but really fast, capital it's your advantage. Is how you leverage yourself and what you have to get to something that you didn't have, right? You didn't have the ability to get. And so we talk about it broadly. It's not just money, right? Money, uh, if we can disassociate that word from our investment capital, it helps us a lot more. So if it's investment capital, it's in our business bank account, and it's not for us to spend. When Michelle and I were first starting that first house that we flipped on purpose, the one thing I remember her saying, and I was like, I think we could do this. She said, look, if you're gonna do this, you can't touch our money. What does she mean by that? I'm like, we have to use money. She's like, the money that comes into the home to pay for the diapers and the food and those little chewable little food bites that those kids eat. We felt like we had them everywhere, little veggie sticks. Um, you can't touch that food. You can't touch that money. All right. So what that did is it separated. For me, it became separate. Any investment capital, it was over here in this business account. Everything from my W-2, like my paycheck, everything else went over there. Right. So if you think of it that way, it's going to help you out in the long run. I thought this was interesting. I share it with everybody as much as possible. But this is from SBA where it says the way to start business, where people got the funds to start their businesses. And I thought it was interesting that business bank loans was actually 16%, and friends and family loans was 65, right? So it's funny how I did that. It was 17% and 65. Okay. And I just find that interesting. So that's where that private capital comes from, but then you also have regular capital, okay? It's not just a tool, of course, I told you that. Gotta make it work for us. Um, it helps you get the opportunities, right? We want to make sure that we use the right tool, right? That this image here. You don't use a screwdriver for the nail, okay? So we'll talk about what that means with capital. Uh, you don't want to use a credit card that's 30% interest to go buy a house, right? Or something like that. So if you have other options, you don't want to use the wrong tool, okay? But capital is a tool, like it's in the tool belt, and you got to figure out which one to use, okay? Helps us get our deals done, gives us our super speed, right? The more access we have, and that's what I was telling you about that house where the private lender fell out, but because we were bankable, we were able to get those funds replaced and keep moving through the deal. Besides, instead of losing it. So of course we got to have that water for the business to help us grow. And this is profit first. I have to make an Amazon page. I think I need an Amazon card or something for y'all. But Profit First, incredible book by our friend David Richter, and using that formula for our capital. Okay, so get the book. I'm not going to go through it, but it's fantastic. All right, so let's talk about these steps to get success. I'm going to drink some water real quick. All right, the bankable basics. Okay, we got to get lender ready. We gotta look good. Like, you gotta, we gotta look good. We gotta dress up. We gotta have our tie on or whatever. But it's not how we dress. It's how our financial stress and our business stresses, right? And our credit dresses. Okay. So I can't. I'm not the expert in this. Okay. The thing that I do well is we flip houses and we partner with people and teach people how to flip houses. Okay. And how to invest in real estate. So credit score, yeah, know what it means and how to do it. But there's people and there's companies that will help you fix yours. I'm here to tell you it matters. Okay. It does matter. There are lenders that aren't going to look at it, but those lenders are going to cost you more. Okay, so it matters. You can still get the funds, but it matters. So even if your credit score right now sucks, like you could be at a 550, that's fine. You can be less. You can still do real estate. But if you shoot for that 650 and above, it's going to help you do real estate easier and cheaper on the finance cost. Okay. If I go back to the other screen, you got different tools. You got different lenders. There are lenders that work great with people with bad credit, but they're more expensive. So don't use those if you can qualify for the better loans, the better, cheaper prices because of good credit. Okay. Um, you can start and you should be looking at your personal credit, but also your business credit. Okay. And I've got right here this QR code. This is for uh, our partner Prime Corporate Services, and I got this here because they will actually set up your LLC. They can help you get the EIN registered, and they can help you go through and start working on credit and building your lendability, right? I think they can actually help you apply for some loans. But here's the thing: it's really really important that you get your credit going in the right direction, and then you start working on that business. Okay, not to say you have to wait months and months before it gets done, but you got to make sure that is a focus. Don't just leave it behind and let it be 400. Okay, work on it. Doesn't mean you can't go get a property today and work on it. So don't let that be I'm like, oh, I can't invest in real estate. My credit's too bad. No, absolutely not. That's you just saying you're scared and you're afraid and you don't want to move forward. And that's okay to be afraid and scared, but that's why we're here to help you get over that. Okay. So that's not the reason not to go do a deal. So check it, improve it, but then get that business set up. Okay. And the huge piece of this that I'm gonna highlight. Oh no, I can't highlight. My bad. The codes, the NAICS. These are really, really, really important. Okay. I've seen flippers, like real estate investors. I've seen them go in and there's a little drop down and they're like, oh, I'm an investor. And they put investing. But it's geared towards like, that's like financial products investing, stocks and Morgan, was it Morgan Stanley or Morgan Jones or Edward Jones, whatever. Like that's who they are. So don't mess that up. This is really, really important that you get this right because when you go to get these talk to these companies about lending you money, they can't lend. It's against their rules to lend to certain people. Okay, so you want to make sure you don't hit one of those uh, um, categories that you can't use. So you have to do and pay attention to that. If you're a landlord or property management company or construction company, you want those to be keyed in there. They want to know who you are and what you do. Okay, so don't mess that up. Another huge piece that people totally overlook. Thanks, Terry. I hope you're motivated, man. Let's go. So, the business phone number and web and email address and regular address, like this gets overlooked so often. If you really are trying to make a business out of this, when we started, we were going to be, and we still are local home buyers, right? We're local home buyers that renovate homes or provide safe and secure rental housing. We renovate homes for sale and or uh, safe and secure rental housing. Okay, so if you want to be those people, if you want to create that, then you have to have a real business address. Now, don't go to don't go get a PO box, okay? Because if it's USPS PO box, a few problems we have there is one is the who is it? FedEx or UPS. One of them doesn't deliver to the PO boxes. Okay, you have a big problem there. So you can go and rent a space. You rent a small office if you're available to that. What I really like is the co-working spaces. You can go rent a co-work space, um, and for very little, monthly fees. Now, if you're not there, right, you're not you don't have the income yet for this. Just go rent the mailbox. Okay. If you're in South Carolina and Columbia, if you want a Columbia address, um, Bishop, I should put his info in here. Bishop's got us. Maybe I'll put a link to him. Um, can I? Yeah, I can do that. Um, Bishop, I'm giving your email out, Bishop. Uh, Bishop's got the at rickmidlands.com. He can get you a mailbox, right, for not much, like just under $100 a month, and you get the real address. When you have a real address, then when banks look you up and lenders look you up, or buyers or sellers, anybody that's like, oh, this is a real person, it doesn't show up in your neighborhood, right? You don't want it to show up in your neighborhood as that's your address because it just doesn't give the right impression. Remember, I said we got to look good? That doesn't look good. The other piece to that, get yourself a phone number that is dedicated to your business because ultimately, one day you might want to sell that business or have an assistant that can answer that phone. Okay, so you don't want it to your personal phone number. Now, I only have one phone, but I use Google Voice. Yeah, Google Voice to transfer that phone number. So you can do that. Email. Email and website. Make sure you go ahead and get it going. All right. Yes, websites can be a little expensive, and I get that. But if you really want to start this business, you might want to consider go ahead and get that website. You don't have to, but I'm telling you, it's going to be a little bit easier as you get going. Um, but the email has to be a professional email. You have to have a good email address. All right. Um, those are just huge pieces of credibility stack that we are trying to show that we are serious, right? And And that's part of it, right? If you can't pay $100 a month for a website, are you really going to be able to pay for these properties you're going to flip? Okay. Yes, we are going to borrow funds for the renovations and the purchase price, but there's going to be things that are out there that you're going to have to spend a little bit of money for. So ask yourself these questions. Am I really ready to get in, right? I'm going to need to spend a little bit to get there, okay? Um, and these pieces are so important. Oh, that's funny. Uh, all right, so getting these pieces started, the address and phone number, all that is often overlooked. Use somebody to help you get that LLC set up. All right, let's talk a little. Let's get into what this is. Okay, business credit cards. Once you have that business set up, that thing we just talked about, go and start getting business credit cards that are geared towards the business, but not putting it on your own personal credit. There's some great places you can go right now and start with that. Once you have the LLC and the EIN, I guess don't not right now if you don't have that. The first three people I tell all of our deal partners to go through, all of our clients, is you go to Sherwin-Williams, you go to Lowe's, and you go to Home Depot, and you get the business card, okay? The pro card or whatever they call it. Make sure you're not getting the personal. Get the business, okay? It just gets your business started with credit. Now, I think I put the link down here at the bottom, dealfindersclub.com/funding. On there, there's a link to Fund and Grow, and this is all they do, right? If you really want to dive in and go get a lot of these cards and rewards and stuff like that, they can do it for you. You actually just let them give them permission. They go do the applications. But you don't have to do that. But we've had a lot of success in our community. And there might be people watching that have done it and have seen a lot of success with that. But you don't have to do that. On that same site, Flash Funding, I've got, I think three. I think our top three business credit cards, which is like the Amex, um, Chase Bank, Chase Inc. Maybe, and then Capital on Tap. So I think those three are on there. You can give those a shot as well. Remember I was talking about the screw, don't use the screwdriver for the nail. When we're looking at credit cards, we got to, the Dick Ramsey in us all that says no credit cards, no debt, no debt, no debt. I get that. It's not for debt. These credit cards are not for debt. Credit cards are not to be paid off, 6 years from now with minimum payments. These credit cards are to buy something that you're using on a property that you're going to get reimbursed through either you refi it or you flip it within that year, right? You've got to pay it off within the year plan. Okay, that is what we're looking for with these credit cards. You get more dangerous as you start making these deals work, as you start getting the revenue from flips and rental properties, and those credit cards get to be more dangerous. You end up putting more and more on it. If you haven't set it up and pay them off every year when the income comes, you mess yourself up. Okay, it's a little slippery slope. Um, I don't get in too much to the rates and the rewards and the 0% offers and stuff like that. Again, Fund and Grow helps you do that. Uh, we've got a couple credit cards for each business, and I don't go for credit card hopping, right? That it's possible, but ultimately, I would rather you be looking at properties and you can put offers out, make some offer hopping, right? Don't be worried about what these credit cards are trying to entice you and get you plugged in on, right? So get you a couple of cards and just be happy with it. Don't get sucked into all the fun games that they get you and these rewards. If you are making money, if you are paying your cards off, then those rewards will come and it'll be great. It'll be just a bonus, okay? But we're not in the credit card rewards business or this find the 0% business. We're in the real estate business, okay? So don't let that consume your day. Go find a deal, okay? Um, of course, the strategy of using these cards is if anything is reporting to your credit, you got to keep that. You got to use less than 30%. The business cards they don't really report as closely as that. So anything that's got your name on it or your credit report, make sure you keep it under 30%. I'm not gonna say too much more about this. It's not my lane. Okay, so uh, business lines of credit versus credit cards, totally different. Totally different. Your business line of credit is through the bank, and your the way the interest works typically is way less of an interest. The way you apply, the way you get approved, the way that it closes, potentially lines of credit typically close after a year or two, and you got to re all of these things make these two very different situations. So that's why when we ask people to look, we're looking at credit cards, we're looking at lines of credit. Okay, two different things. Personal, and then there's a home equity line of credit. Okay, so home equity line of credit is actually coming off of, you guessed it, your home's equity. Typically, it's going to be off of the primary home, right where you live. There's always a question like, is there anybody that would do that off of my rental property? I don't know, and you can ask. I guess that's about all there is to that. The personal line of credit, that's going to be tied to your personal credit and your income. And again, are you bankable? Do they like you? Do they like what they see? They like to see long-term employment. They like to see long-term W-2 growth. Okay. The difference here, so, and just so you know, if you want it, I have a glossary of terms, basically the lender's language glossary, I think is what I called it. I do have that I can send you. So it defines what these terms are: secured versus unsecured, HELOCs, all that. If you want that, let me know. Shoot me a message. You can put a comment here. Give me If you put a comment here, just say uh, glossary. How about we'll just say give me give me the sheet, right? Just let me know that you're looking for um, the quick sheet, the hot sheet or whatever. What do I call that thing? Tip sheet. So if you just send that to, just make a comment, send me a message, I'll get that over to you, and it goes through all these terms. Term sheet. That was terms sheet. That's what I was trying to come up with. Anyway, send that to me. Secured versus unsecured. Secured means it's attached to an asset. Unsecured means it's not. Pretty simple. Not going to get too much into that. All right. I think we're running up on, we're not too much longer into here. Just a couple more slides. All right. Um, here's our lender types, and we have a lot more. I have some others that I did put in here, but in the lender's language glossary, I've got the notes and all these terms down here. Okay, so we got all that for you. All right, so what is a conventional mortgage lender? All right, conventional mortgage lender is what you think of when you think of like Wells Fargo or Bank of America, Rocket Mortgage. You guys know Rocket Mortgage? I'm over here stretching. I don't know if you can tell. Oh, been staying in too long. Uh, Rocket Mortgage, any of those conventional mortgage lenders, or any of the banks that are around you in your community, they are fantastic at getting you the best rates, especially if you're going to live in the house. Okay. If you're doing investments, they don't love it as much. If there's any lenders on here, anybody watching, y'all can just attest to that, or tell me I'm wrong. That'd be fine. But they don't love the investment properties. And why? Well, because it's riskier. If somebody runs into money trouble, they're less likely to not pay that home, the one they live, and they're more likely to not pay that rental property or that flip that they're doing. Okay, so that's the reason. But if you are bankable, if you've got great credit, talk to somebody that was 100 plus, 800 plus, they got great credit, they have a W-2, they might be able to go down to their mortgage guy and say, hey, I want to buy this house. I want to buy this house. I'm probably going to do renovations and rent it out. They might say yes. But if you go and say, I'm going to do a renovation and I'm going to sell it, they'll probably say no. Conventional mortgage people, and here's the deal: when you do a conventional mortgage, there's a lot of expense that goes into that, and so that bank wants to make their money back. Okay, so that's why we look at flip or investor lenders, right? That's where we go to people that really specialize in what we do because they know how to make it worthwhile for them and for us. All right. So um, the documents will have all that for you, but in the glossary, the DSCR loans. These are investor facing, just totally set out for investors. It's debt service coverage ratio loans. Okay. So basically, what it's saying is as long as the debt, the payment you have to make for that property, rental house is what these are, as long as that payment is covered by the rent at a certain rate, debt service coverage ratio, that rate, whatever that is, as long as it's covered by that, then they can do the loan. These are the folks that typically aren't looking at credit. Now they'll look at credit and they'll base your rate on credit, but approval and disapproval, usually it has nothing to do with the credit. Okay, it has everything to do with the asset, and that brings us right into hard money loans, which very much depends on the asset and very little depends on credit. They depend on how much experience do you have doing this business? Who are you working with? Some of them want to know, who are your contractors, who are your partners, who's teaching you this stuff, who are you working with? Um, what experience do you have? And what is the property? They want to know about that asset. How is this asset? Well, how is my money safe here? Very like sometimes they don't even pull your credit. They don't even look at your credit. Okay, so this credit worthiness, this being bankable, yeah, we talked about credit as being super important, but if you can't get there today, then it doesn't mean you can't go invest in real estate. That means you need to solve the problem of the experience, partnerships, or whatever that is, and how good is the deal, okay? And then those hard money lenders, hey, that's what they're there for, okay? They care about the deal over who you are as a person. So I'm not gonna get into the rates and points. I think what's important to know is that um, the more risk, the higher the price, the higher the points, and higher the interest rates. Okay, so conventional mortgage on your home, low. Hard money on somebody with bad credit, we've never done this before, high, right? So it's gonna be more expensive. All right, private lenders. We talked about the private lenders in our last meeting. If you want that whole presentation, let me know. Like I said, it's in the Learning Center and get it to you. Yes, Lauren, I got you. I will get that to you, the glossary. And the private lenders, uh, what is it? Who are private lenders? They're just everybody that's got money that's wants to lend it out. Their money needs to make more money than it does in the savings account. So they don't have to be millionaires and billionaires, okay? They can be your best friend. They can be your neighbor. They can be your mom, your dad. And it doesn't have to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. I just said earlier that you need $2.1 million, right, this year to do those 10 flips. Your private lender does not have to have 2.1 million, okay? They could be the person that gets you started and only has a couple, maybe 5, 10, 15, maybe 30,000 that gets you through to your down payment, or that gets you through for a earnest money deposit, right, or something like that, or just a little bit of rehab money. Okay, so private lenders, and I can't, I'm not going into all this. I'm getting excited about it. But private lenders, they're different because they are so flexible. They work with you. It's all about you. A lot of private lenders don't even care. I mean, they care about the house. They want it to be secured by real estate. That's what they care about. Okay. They're not worried about the color of the house or the location most of the time, but it's secured by real estate that's worth more than my loan. That's what the primary goal is for them because they're looking for higher rates of return. And they know that good real estate investors can create the most secure and sometimes the best rate of return they're going to see. Okay, so private lenders are who they are. Um, Very much built on trust and trying to make it easy and convenient for everybody. So the note, the mortgage, the deed of trust, um, lien waivers, assignment of rents, assignment of mortgage, like all these things that we've got that in the library, in the glossary. So let me know again if you want the glossary, just say glossary, that's fine. Uh, Lauren, I'll get that one to you. Okay. Personal guarantee. Personal guarantee is we would love to do everything without a personal guarantee. And when we talked about being bankable, when your business gets to a point where it's standing on its own. LLC is now a corporation, right? It is its own thing. You want to not be doing personal guarantees. That business should have enough uh, credit worthiness, should have enough of a track record that it is the guarantee. Okay, and that way you can kind of get away from having your name attached to all this stuff because ultimately, as a business, uh, most businesses don't. Walmart's owners don't have their name on their credit cards, on Walmart's credit cards accounts, right? It doesn't hit their credit. So you want to get away from that as much as possible, and it takes time, but it means working on the business as well as yourself. Okay. Oh, and this is the bonus. This is the bonus strategy for capital. Y'all, uh, most people don't think about it like, but every property already has built-in capital. Every piece of real estate already has built-in capital that you as a buyer can use. Now, maybe I just blew some of your minds, but I guess that's kind of the goal for today anyway, right? Like, here's the deal. If you don't have any capital, you can't bring anything, you can't figure it out, that seller has it all. Every purchase is just an exchange of that capital that's going from your side to their side. What if they were willing to wait for their side? You ever thought about that? How much would that help your business? How many deals could you do if every seller was willing to wait to get their capital? Oh, that'd be crazy. Yeah, and it's possible. I'm not saying that's the easiest thing to do. Yes, this is much harder to get these deals done. It's way easier to close a deal when you pay them cash. But if you can't, then why aren't you looking for deals where you can use their capital? And so what does that mean? It basically means every seller can be your bank. Every seller has the potential to be your bank. And you go, you buy it, and you pay them later. You can pay them monthly. You can pay them when you sell it. You can pay them at the flip. You can pay them when you rehab it. You can pay them piece now and piece later. You can do it however you want. But every single deal, and this is the thing that most people don't think about, every single deal that you're looking at already has all the capital you need built in. Okay? It's just a matter of how you're going to get it out. If you get it out by borrowing from a bank based on the asset value, fine. But you can also borrow it from that seller based on what they're selling. Okay? All right. So what is next? Y'all, we've done a lot here today. I know we've gone through a bunch here today. Um, and we are Deal Finders Club. We meet locally, right? We have all of our local meetups. But the thing is all across the country, there are plenty of you that are looking to be local home buyers, local home flippers that are helping sellers, helping the community by buying sometimes very distressed, but usually at least a little bit distressed properties or buying from distressed sellers. And you're improving your community by renovating these, selling them, or renovating these and renting them and providing safe and secure housing. So that is happening all over this country. And we do have our meetups here. Our next meetup is the first Tuesday in June. And I invite everybody to come to it. And if you can't be there, stay tuned and join our community, um, join the Facebook group, join the meetup.com and the Learning Center so that you can learn how to do this right where you are. All right, we've got a couple things coming up uh, for that. And, I just ask if that's something that you're looking for to get into real estate, then take the next step, right? So what's stopping most people? It's either a lack of direction or lack of goals, or the fear of the risks. Now, risk the risks are there, right? We talked about it earlier. There's a lot of risk in real estate. And yeah, it's good to have fear of risks, right? That's why people don't jump off of three-story buildings. There's some risk, and they're afraid of it. That's good. But sometimes the fear of the risk in real estate, it gets too big, and it prevents people from taking the next step. And so that's why we do these education sessions. This is why we do the Friday lives. This is why we have our boot camps, our workshops, our meetups, uh, to help you get the knowledge and the information so you can reduce your risk. And if you're ready to do a deal and you just don't feel like you can get through that, let me know. I'll see, let's jump on a call together. Let's have a quick chat. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me where you're stuck, and see if maybe we can help you with that. Um, we do have a couple of options for you. If you're there, we can make that call. We can do a strategy call. You can go jump in that learning center to get a little bit more education. But ultimately, that education becomes a little security blanket, and we just keep learning. We never start doing. I want you to start doing. If you're ready to do the next flip and do your flip in the next 30 days, just let me know. You can apply to be a part of the group. If not, if you don't want to be part of the group, if you don't need help doing your flip in the next 30 days, I'd still love to hear about it. Let's have a quick call so that I can put you into my prayer list and on our watch team, right, for our group because we want to celebrate you when you do that flip. All right. I asked this question the other day, actually, at our last meeting, and I loved kind of the responses that we got. So, will you have flipped your first or your next house? Or, and you guys got to sit on this one for a minute, or will you still be thinking about it? Right? There comes a time when it's time to take action, and some of you are ready to take action, and I totally understand it. I don't want to, I'm not trying to say you should, but some of you should. Some of you have been through this, and if this information here was like, oh, duh, I already knew that, might be time. Might be time to take that action. If all this was brand new, it's probably time to, jump in and really dive in to education. Learn this business, right? Find some places that you can really dive in, get connected. We obviously have our group, we have online, we have in person. Grab a book if you need to. Don't grab 10, just one will do it. And start moving towards getting that specialized education on what you want to do. Okay. If you can't figure out which way to go and you're trying to learn wholesaling and flipping and rental houses and being an agent, you're learning too much. Let me know. Let's talk. Let's have one of those chats, right? And I can target you into the right path, right? At least a path so that you can at least go forward versus looking at all the options and not ever moving forward. Okay. So yeah, I forgot to put here. So you can actually just scan that QR code if you do want to chat. If not, go to the website, dealfindersclub.com and up top. Right. So I hope this has been helpful for you all. I'm looking forward to furthering conversations, connecting with you all, and seeing how you put capital to work in your business. This is the lifeblood of your business, and uh, don't don't get stuck. Don't get stuck thinking that you can't do it. You don't need all 2.1 million now. You just need to get started. Get that first stuff going down the first steps, right? The LLC, you gotta get that done. Start getting lines of credit, you gotta get that done, and then you start doing deals. Okay, so hope this was helpful. I'm looking forward to seeing you all again. Shoot me a message, a DM, chat, uh, email, and love to see if we can't connect. Have a strategy call. Other than that, y'all have a wonderful day. If there's any questions in the comments, I'm looking right now. I don't see any. Nope. No questions, no comments left. All right, Lauren, I will send you that, um, yes, that glossary. I'll send that out. If anybody else wants it, I'll send it to you. Okay, if you're on my email list, I'll go ahead and send it to everybody, actually. So if you're not on the email list, then you have to tell me to send it to everybody. Not email. You won't get it. All right. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.